Hey everyone, good morning. Today is day 14. It's kind of amazing to believe we're 2 weeks into this. And I wanted the topic to be this idea of free me from my fears. So, my belief about all this, just know it's Marty Murphy's personal opinion, is there's just a lot being called up in all of us, in our isolation, in the quietness. A lot of stuff can come up for many of us, stuff that's been buried under busyness. So a lot of fears, and maybe not. Like, everybody's different. I noticed for myself, I just feel calmer than I've ever felt. And it doesn't mean that I don't have fear that runs my show most of the time, which it's always a work in progress for me, but it's certainly gotten better and better and better over time. But like anything, I'm in a body as a human being, I can slip back down that slippery slope, but I notice that I slide less far down the slope. But this period of time that all of us are in, so what if, the topic is free me from my fears, what if part of this is happening to have you reconnect to a deeper part of yourself, whatever you want to call it, if it's your higher self, or if you want to connect with God more, or the universe, or the great spirit, whatever you choose to call it. Maybe you're atheist, but maybe you can believe in a wiser part of yourself. But this idea of free me from my fear, so to me, tapping is this fabulous technique that really works with our physiology to change what's happening for us. And what I have found in my own life is with the tapping, it's created more of this opening to rekindle my spirituality. I was raised in a very devout Catholic family with a lot of dogma and a lot of fear instilled and a lot of oppression. And if anyone is Catholic and it works for you, that's awesome. It didn't work for me. And I really didn't know that for a really long time. If you have any kind of religion that you follow that gives you help and hope, that is awesome. But what if you're being called forward to go deeper and in this idea of free me from my fear, to turn it over? If you find yourself caught in the grip of fear and you're tapping or you're doing any other technique that you can, and yet the fear is still there, what if the reason the fear is still there is because you can't, in your own human consciousness, you can't handle it. You can't. So what if in those moments, if you're on your knees, and I have figuratively and literally been on my knees many times in my life, those are the moments when it's like, I have to let go. I've got to turn this over. I've got to put this out there. I've got to offer it up and just say, please take this over from me. Take this fear from me. So this idea of that I've got to figure this all out by myself. I've got to even, tap 24/7 to free my fear. What if you reach a point and it's like, I can't, I need to give this, I need to turn this over. I need to let it go. And even in the letting go process, not for 1 minute am I saying that's easy. The pithy sayings, let go, let God, all those things, it's an active thing to me. It's not really a passive thing. It's more like, I don't know what to do with this. Show me what I'm meant to do. And you put it out there, like let it go. And even the sayings like give it all to God, they're great sayings. But if you don't know how to do it, to go, it's a practice. It's a practice. When I'm down on my knees and I feel like all else has failed, oh my gosh, I've got to turn this over. And it's kind of interesting. I've noticed this in, Facebook memories. This time last year, I was in St. Louis, and my sisters and I were surrounding our other sister, absolutely convinced that she was going. She was passing away. Absolutely convinced that we were going to see her take her last breath. Well, she hung around until September 9th. So I was there for 3 weeks. I left and came home and then came back. And I remember during that time, just the letting go process that I had to do, knowing like she could be going. This might be the last time I'll ever have a conversation with her. And those moments when I was on my knees with that, to go, I've got to, I literally would put it out there in prayer, intention, whatever you choose to call it. And it helped. It helped me to realize I'm not going through this by myself. And it also helped to have my sisters there. But within myself to go, this sometimes feels like too much for me. So I just need to put it out there. And it brought some sense of ease and peace. And then ironically, 2 years ago around this time, my husband and I were in Chicago because his very lifelong dear friend had passed away, and we were at the service for that. So it's really an interesting time of year. And I've noticed all that coming in the Facebook memories. So this, with everything that's going on right now, again, with things slowing down and busyness slowing down, things come up. So we will tap on this idea of setting the intention to release me from my fear. Like whatever you believe is out there that's greater than yourself. I always say, I don't care if it's Fred Flintstone, the dinosaurs, I don't care what you believe it is. But if you can just even believe, I've got to turn this over to a wiser part of myself, then that's, something to think about, especially during these times when you might go into overwhelm of emotion. And I would also invite you to consider the idea, if you find yourself in overwhelm of emotion, there's stuff coming up, and that's a good thing. And as long as you're doing something, I use tapping, whatever other technique in these videos are about tapping. If you're doing something to help move that energy, that's huge. It's huge. And the intensity will calm down. So let's start at the eyebrow on this one. Here I am. So overwhelmed with fear. Sometimes it just feels like too much for me. Totally overwhelmed with fear. And I can't handle this on my own. I get so overwhelmed sometimes. So maybe I need to get support. Maybe I need to talk to loved ones or a trusted friend. And what if part of what's happening here is through this fear? What if I'm being called forward to reconnect with the wiser part of myself, with the Great Spirit, with God, with the universe, whatever I choose to call it? What if, in those moments of fear, when I might feel so spent, so overwhelmed, what if I can offer it up? Free me from this fear. Take this from me. Help me to find peace. Change me into one who is open to more peace. Free me from this noose of fear that has such a grip on me. And what if as I remember, I don't have to go through this alone. What if that really changes things for me? And what if my fear can ultimately be transformed into curiosity about what's to come? Because life can be pretty uncertain. And what if in this fear of uncertainty, I'm actually being called forward to reconnect with a power greater than myself? And what if as I rest more in that, the fear loosens? As I sit in this time of waiting, what if I can rest more and use this time to reconnect with this force that's so much greater than anything that's happening in the current state of affairs? So take a breath. And I want to read you this. I highly recommend this book if you don't. It's called Change Me Prayers by Tosha Silver. And this is the prayer on fear. And change the words here if you don't. I'm reading it as is. Divine Beloved, please free me from the noose of my fears. May I be used by you in service to the light. Divine Beloved, change me into one who feels completely safe and guided by your love. Take over my body and mind. Show me the way in every moment. Guide me to the right actions at the right time. And let me hold a light so strong I am protected from any fear or negativity in others. May I be a vessel for the light for all who need. And as I got reacquainted to these concepts, I studied in my 20s and 30s, divine timing, divine order, divine surrender. And I remember at that time in my life, I'm like, oh my God, my life had felt so much easier. And then I went through an experience and I sort of kind of rejected all of that for a while and then have come back to that. And I'm just so grateful because during times like this, I think we can get caught up in so much of the fear. I mean, especially in the world, you go out, if you go to the grocery store and the more people you see wear masks and gloves and the more people you witness in fear, and I've witnessed it, I've been around it, and it's been an interesting experience for me. And fortunately, I haven't seen it too much. And I've seen, just people kind of really the fear virus has the bigger grip on them than anything. And in those moments, like, what if through all this, you are being called forward to reconnect with that wiser part of yourself? And what if that you find such hope and peace in that? And again, that path, that journey, as I've gone back through that journey myself, at times I literally been like down on my knees, not recently, but it's sort of like I feel like I was being prepared before this all happened so that I could feel a lot more centered during this. And it was really like the shredding off of all the like shrouds of confusion and the worldly way we see things. And that's its own journey. It's literally like pulling the IV out of the arm. The culture that we live in that tells us this is how it should be and this is how it should look, and your value comes from the money you have in your bank, the car you drive, the house you're in, what you're charging people, as if our value really, really can come from any of that. But that's the culture that we live in. And that's why I think you'll see, you do see so much more fear of uncertainty of really what's going to happen to everyone around that. And what if it's possible? What if it's possible that all of this is happening because the way it's been really has stopped working or hasn't been working? And what if, for many of us, we are being called forward to see a whole new way of being? So I just invite you to consider that idea. You're also free to reject it as well. Celestine, so nice to see you here live. And if you found this helpful, go back and tap through that and get the book also if it resonates with you. And we'll see you tomorrow for day 15. Bye for now.